Welcome to the LBN Podcast. I'm Eun, and I'm a director at LBN.
I am Andrew, and I am a director at LBN and also the East Coast representative.
So, we'll actually begin this podcast by first talking about what Low Brass Network really is. And Andrew, you want to go in
Sure.
depth on that?
Yep. So, Lower S Network strives to provide extraordinary musical education to students of all ages playing a low brass instrument. Alongside this, we will never charge our students a single penny, always providing free, helpful, and effective teaching. The Low Brass Network's founding ideas and frameworks were conceived in late 2001 after a group of students joined together to help others learn low brass instruments. As time went by, us at LBN started to receive more support and eventually formed a full 501c3 nonprofit organization. So basically, LBN exists to provide opportunities to low brass players, and that's our goal. Everything we have and do just revolves around that goal to broaden and spread the love of low brass and to explore the possibilities. So
I
yeah,
think, yeah, I think you said we were conceived in 2001. We're like
or
2021.
2021. Yeah,
Yeah,
2021.
this is a relatively new organization. Um, but yeah, I think the main point in that was to have more opportunities to low brass players. And that sort of ties into like why we do what we do.
Yep.
Basically, this entire organization just revolves around spreading the love of low brass to others.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's like
Cause see, I
all
think
these. Yeah, what do you think?
yeah, I was gonna say I think like us at LBN, there's so many of us that are tied into the organization already, and we all have our own reasons for doing it. Like my reason, I feel like low brass is underappreciated. All my time in high school, we would go to like state auditions. There'd be 180 trumpets, but 60 trombones. It's just I want to spread the love. You know, I want people to know why I do what I do and why I found my love for low brass.
Definitely agree. I think, like you said, all of us have our own reasons. One of my reasons is basically we like the sound of it is just I don't think low brass players coming in, there's not much because they don't realize like the sound that they can make. And there's just
Yeah,
a bunch of like artists around and nobody really knows them because I
yeah. I
mean,
think it's always like, oh my gosh, trumpet, 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 or like percussion. Yeah, I want to beat stuff, and nobody realizes you can't have a band without a tuba. You just can't.
straight up, yeah. Like I know I was playing bass trombone once and one of my friends, they introduced me to like Fire Die, and I
Yes.
just like I straight up just like I listen to it almost every day now, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
It
Mine
is
was mine was the Devil's Waltz.
the Devil's Waltz.
Yep.
Wow. Is that for bass trombone?
It's a bass trombone trombone duet.
Dang. Yeah. Honestly, like the sound is underappreciated. People don't or low brass players don't go to YouTube usually and listen to what's available. I think what we're doing right now is very oriented towards like getting people to understand what they can do with that instrument, not
Hmm.
only like having more players playing the instrument, but having like letting them know what sort of tone quality can be achieved, I guess. But yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. 'Cause, there's like low brass is used for many many different ways in an ensemble. You have like your fanfarish, like your trombone sound, euphonium solos in a piece. Oh my gosh, I can go on for days about it. But then you also, like your trombones are normally the ones that set like your raunchiness. Like when, if you're getting into like a dog fight song, it's your low brass that carries it.
I honestly think there are not enough songs that sort of have or exploit turning the trombones into the melody, because once that happens, man, it is amazing. Like, not gonna lie, there was like this one time in this like one Christmas carol where the trombones were in the melody. That one was like,
Hmm.
it was really powerful. Anyways, let's go and talk about like why this podcast exists. Andrew, you
Yeah,
want to?
definitely.
Yeah.
So, I would say why the podcast exists. Well, really, just to spread the love for low brass. Um, me and you are obviously doing it because we want to be heard. We want people to be able to have a place to come to and hear what's going on in the world. And of course, it's global. Like we're trying to get this worldwide. We're gonna bring on guests. Have guests talk about why they chose low brass, why they do what they do. So yeah,
Yeah. Um, I also think like this podcast is really good to just listen to know what's going on in LBN. Since we're
definitely.
like really early nonprofit, it's gonna be pretty hectic for a few. We're gonna have like
Yes, because we
a
have
bunch.
many projects coming up.
Yeah. I mean, later on though, I think we'll start maybe slowing down, and then we'll have this for right now. I think we're gonna have this podcast for about like every single week. Later
Hmm.
on, once it starts to die down, we'll start having a podcast once every 2 weeks or maybe even a month. So yeah, like, do you want to actually go over the projects that we'll do in LBN?
Yeah, definitely.
So first, our project is giving free lessons. I think you went a little bit into that while you were explaining what Little Brass Network is.
Yes. So as I was saying earlier, we have a lot of people connected with LBN right now. Me and you were both directors. We both together we have many years of experience with music, and if you're like that beginning band student, lessons are expensive. When I first started taking lessons, it was $50 for 30 minutes, which is crazy. And basically what we're offering is for people to have like a one-on-one lesson with us, with all the knowledge and stuff we've gained, all the lesson plans we've had for free. Never charge you a dime.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's like really good. It's sort of a self-perpetuating cycle because we have low brass players getting like taught by other low brass players who
Hmm.
like play their instrument. And later on, once those students end up learning, they can easily volunteer and sign up to give lessons to others. And it ends up becoming sort of like its own thing, you know?
Hmm.
And our second project that we're trying to do is give low priced instruments. And I'll take this one, but so for our instruments, we actually partnered with DF Music in order to have like, because most school bands they end up having like only one bass trombone available or just a few trombones, and most of them are in
Hmm.
like pretty bad condition, and it's like
Hmm.
school budget and stuff like that. But for people actually wanting to get into low brass, I think buying it, buying your own instrument is one of like, it's part of the process, honestly, because you need to know how to like take really good care of your instrument. There are some people with school instruments, they're like, it's not my instrument. Like, I don't need to give it a bath or anything like that. And it ends up
Yep.
being horrible, right? So
Yes.
I think what we're doing here is sort of a good mix because we're removing that barrier of like, oh, buying your own instrument. And
Yeah, and I
we're
know
all,
we definitely have a YouTube up right now about an instrument that like a president and whatnot have done like a review on. We'll have guys, hey, here's how you clean an instrument, all that stuff, going up on the YouTube channel.
yeah. I think for instrument donation as well, that's one of the other projects we have up. I
Hmm.
think later on we'll end up having like options for people to donate to our website, or even like just donating money or donating any instrument. And for schools
Hmm.
that need it, we might later on provide instruments to them. I am not sure where it's going right now, but that's like one
Yeah,
of the
because
ideas we have.
we're still in that like we're trying to start everything up. We got to get to that point. So, but it's definitely coming in the future.
Yep. Along with our app that we're working on. So with the Low Brass Network app, I think not only is it sort of an app to help tune, but also something I honestly don't know how many features are on our
I,
one of huh?
I'm gonna say I don't know much about the app, but I do know, like you said, you'll be able to like tune her and all that stuff. I imagine you'll be able to track lesson plans, stuff like that in it.
Yeah. Um our like one of our staff members, he's working on the app, and we'll get more info out, I think maybe in
Definitely in an upcoming
next,
podcast.
yeah. And with our research, I was actually a part of it, but we ended up having a research lab. And because there's like not enough sort of research that's going into like the actual instruments, and we ended up researching the like effects that happen if you don't wash your instrument for too long versus like
Hmm.
if you do wash your instrument, where to where is it like the dirtiest, and some like health effects that will happen if you don't
Hmm.
wash it and stuff like that. We ended up looking at those things, all of them, and I think it'll be a good step in like the direction to sort of remove like people being unsure about their instrument, because there is so little to go on in the internet when regarding like actual like scientific evidence on like, let's say, trombones, euphoniums, or tubas, because people really just don't pay attention to that stuff, right?
Hmm.
And then
Yeah, I mean, I know because like with college marching band, you know, I didn't pay attention to my marching horn at all. And I just threw my mouthpiece in my trombone one day and was looking at it, and the whole inside of my mouthpiece was black, just gunk. But
yeah,
but I don't I don't use the same mouthpiece for marching band or concert band, but that's that'll lead to. I mean, that's dirty bacteria getting into your system, and it will make you sick.
yep. And we ended up actually finding out that mold is more likely to go in there just because it is a warm and wet condition. And
Hmm.
also, there's like no light inside of there. But we actually have the study on the website right now. I don't know if we released it yet, but
Hmm.
there is a
Yeah, which
section in the website for that.
you know, I know you don't know this, but I'm actually going to school to be a doctor, and
Yeah.
that's what I want to do. And breathing in mold, like mold spores, causes like emphysema, tuberculosis. They can form lumps, like with white blood cells and blood clots. I mean, like it's endless. You don't want to be breathing that stuff in.
Yeah. I let's stop turning this into pre-med weekly, and let's get back to the LBN podcast.
Yeah.
Anyways, last but not least, though, we have an upcoming competition, an LBN festival. You want to talk about that, Andrew?
I'll let you take it away first.
Got you. So with the LBN competition, I do think that is a competition basically where you like have a recording in there, and there's going to be, you're basically going to audition, I guess, and we're gonna compare all the recordings together.
hmm
And there's a deadline to apply, which is March 1st. Right now, we are still going through that and trying to set it all up. But
Yeah,
again, in an
there's
upcoming
gonna be.
yeah,
Oh, my bad.
yeah. So in an upcoming podcast, we'll definitely go deeper into that. And the Low Brass Festival is what we're mainly focusing on right now as an
hmm
organization. And you want to talk about that, Andrew?
Yeah, I know. Like you were saying with like the competition and festival. There's gonna be like composition, um,
Hmm.
solo work, all sorts of stuff. And we've got some really really famous people that we're pulling in for this project. They're skipping out on like the International Trombone Festival and stuff, like to come with us to help with our LVN festival.
Yeah, we do. Our LBN festival actually is going to be international. Like we've got people from, I think, the Netherlands,
hmm
all around the US, and some other places in like Europe and Asia.
And like plenty of college professors and whatnot.
Yeah, and it's like that's the main thing, right? Like provide opportunities to low brass players, but that is going to definitely
Mhm.
provide opportunities and give people a chance to see
Yeah.
these players live, you know?
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, like right now we've got some things lined up with like Christopher Bill, Dennis Wick, like Eastman and whatnot.
Yeah, that's going to be very exciting with the coming weeks. So now that we talked about all or most of our projects, we still have a couple. But I want to just end it off by saying the next episode that we're gonna go into is actually having a guest speaker, and
hmm
they are the owners of DF Music, and that's gonna be Richard and Mary Galeem.
Yes,
Yeah, so that's gonna be around
I'm
next
definitely
week.
definitely excited for that one. Oh, and while I'm thinking about it, I think for the festival, we're gonna have um like from the people we have, like 12 solo performances. We're gonna have ensemble performances and a bunch of master classes.
Definitely. I'm actually working on the flyer for that right now.
Great.
Yeah,
But yeah, I'm totally pumped for this podcast with the owners of DF Music.
definitely. So, yeah, that's it for our podcast right now. We introduced you guys to Low Brass Network, why we do what we do, and why this podcast exists, and a bunch of our projects.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
All right. Well, we will see y'all next week.